which make it a unique terroir which you cannot find anywhere else in the world. The first part of it was millions of years ago when the area of Châteauneuf-du-Pape was covered by the sea, what's today the Mediterranean Sea. And from that you had some deposits of sea bones, seashells, and all that. At the time the seas were much cleaner than what they are today, happily. And this has created a limestone bench which covers all of Châteauneuf-du-Pape. You certainly know that limestone is very important in wine, and most of the greatest wine in the world, if you talk Burgundy, if you talk Champagne, if you talk Bordeaux, have limestone in the soil. To give you an idea, limestone covers about 2% of surface earth. So it's very small. It's, it's not something which is common. So that's already a big reduction of the globe. And for instance, we make wine in California, in a state called Tablas Creek, maybe some of you know, and we really tried very hard to find limestone in California, and we happened to find some in Paso Robles, and that's the only place in California where you have limestone. So, Châteauneuf-du-Pape, limestone bench, very important. We will discuss later why. Then, on top of the limestone, you had, if you talk of geology, you have some glaciation periods, you had some warming up period, I don't know how to say that. But the result of that, the work of time, brought some clay and some sand. And many estates are mostly clay, and some other estates are mostly sand. And Beaucastel is very specific because of this combination of clay and sand in the soil. Clay is like a sponge. It's going to get the water from the rain, keep it, and give it back to the vine when the vines need it. The results usually are wines which are quite big, quite rich, quite powerful, quite fruity. And it gives good hydric to the vine. Sand is very different. Sand is much more draining, and also it's more acid. And sand doesn't keep as much water as clay does, and so it usually makes wine which are more elegant, more subtle, less powerful, but more balanced. And a good example would be Rayas in Châteauneuf-du-Pape, which is very, very specific. Beaucastel is unique because it has this combination, which we think is superb, of clay and sand, about 50% each. And you will see that the wines that we make there, are always rich and powerful and big in a way, but they are also always balanced. And that's what makes these wines great, in my opinion. Because when a wine, for us, when there is something in excess in a wine, be it power, be it alcohol, be it oak, be it anything, it's not a great wine. The definition of a great wine is the balance of it. So really here in Châteauneuf, in Beaucastel, we have this super combination. It's very, very specific to where we are. And you will see, it gives power because we are in the southern Rhone and in Châteauneuf-du-Pape. It has to be powerful. It is a powerful climate for wine. But also always elegance and balance, and that's something which is very important. And it's not a winemaking skill. It's not, it's just because we have this very specific soil, combining clay and sand. And then, on top of that, millions of years later, you had the Rhone River, which was at the time much more buoyant than what it is today, which took part of the Alps mountain. It starts in the Alps, and it was a big, strong river. It took really part of the Alps mountain by its power, and roll them. And then, when it came on this limestone bench of Châteauneuf-du-Pape that we discussed, the limestone being tougher than the other rocks, it forced it to deposit the stones there. And that's why, if you look at the vineyards in Châteauneuf-du-Pape, I'm sure you have seen hundreds of pictures, it looks like an ocean of stones. You see nothing, and you see no dirt. You see nothing, and you see just these big, we call them the rolling stones, these big round pebbles, which are, in fact, diluvium, so which are part of the Alps mountains, and which have been rolled. So it's very, very known that these stones are very good for the wine for many reasons, because people usually say it's good because it's going to take the heat from the sun during the day and give it back to the wine during the night. That's true, but I think there are a few things which are even more true. The first is that, in the southern Rhone, We are in a Mediterranean climate, and it's quite dry climate. And these stones are fabulous because they are going to allow the water to go deep very quickly, so they are very draining, but they are going to avoid the evaporation. And you know, in the southern one, in Chateau Beaucastel, in summer, and we can have very, very warm days. And this really works as a kind of very fantastic protection against the evaporation. And as a consequence, it avoids a lot of hydric stress problem that you could have, or that you have on the vineyards which are just next to it, which may have the same composition below, but not the same composition on top. So that's, you know, that's a very, very unique combination of limestone, clay, sand, and then these stones. And of course, these are very, very complex because that's just a big idea, but you have a lot of iron, you have a lot of magnesium. I mean, it's really, really a complex soil from the geology. And so, our job, you know, the way I see it, is really to make sure that the roots go deep. Because when the roots go deep, they go into interaction with all this complexity in the soil, this geological complexity in the soil. And this is, and only that, will make microchemical reaction between the roots and the soil, the limestone, the iron, the magnesium, and the diluvium, and all these things. And this will create millions of microchemical reactions that will give to the grape and then to the wine its complexity and its capacity to age. When you have understood that, in my opinion, you have understood what great wine is about. It's not about winemaking, it's not about oak treatment, it's not about whatever man can do. It's about, what man can do is to make sure that if you have a great terroir, you make sure that the roots go deep, because when they go deep, they interact with it and create the complexity and the aging capacity.